What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for the first daily news show after the international break. And a lot has been said, after that result against Cagliari, which kind of felt like a defeat, I think, for everyone on the day, especially the players as well. You can hear Gatti speak after the game and so on. But there has been some overreaction, in my opinion, maybe by me. Keep in mind, when I do my match reactions, those are like seconds after the game ends, and usually that's not good, especially if we don't win, because if the game, like the day after, or it depends on when the game is, probably most of the time the day after, you sit back and you see things in a different light, and maybe some points came across differently because it's like the last 50 minutes of that game were a disaster. But that doesn't mean the start of the season has been a disaster. We can put blames for a game, but we cannot put blame on players or something, individuals, for the start of the season, because the start of the season is not as bad as some might imagine, and actually some actually do think the start of the season is not good. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before we do that, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about, well, being positive. Okay, so I said being positive, and some of you might laugh on this channel. However, there are two parts to look at this. If I told you, let's say, the end of May last season, we just finished our season, the last season with Allegri, we won the Coppa Italia, so on. If I told you back then that, the first week of October we will be undefeated in the league, we would have 6 points in the Champions League, one of those games coming from behind with 10 men, and we would be only 3 points off the top in Serie. Without the context, I think everybody will be like, well, I'll take that. I'll sign up for that 100%. With the context, I'll still take that. However, the context does matter, and that's where I think things take two extremes, because at one point you have the facts. The fact is undefeated, 6 out of 6 in the Champions League, only 3 points off the top of the league. That's a fact. What also is a fact is that at home in Serie A, we only won one game. We dropped points against Empoli, we dropped points against Cagliari. The Empoli game, well, we saw that. The Cagliari game, extremely frustrating. And then, in my opinion, you drop points against a Roma team you should 100% beat at home. The Napoli one, they look solid, better than I could have imagined, I'm not going to lie. But still, at home, we all watched that game, you're like, okay, we need something more. Those are facts. The facts are, if a team plays open, we look cool. We can create chances, so on, so on. Another fact is, we still look solid. I know the media tried to do Bremer is out, and we conceded 1.1 xg, 0.7 of that xg was a pen. So context does matter. We look solid. The only game we didn't look solid was away to Leipzig, when we were actually chasing the game to win it with 10 players on that pitch. You were never going to look solid. It's impossible to do that, especially away from home against a team like Leipzig. That's the only day I was like, oh, we can concede actually at any given time. But we didn't, and everybody was happy because we won that game with 10 men, Against Cagliari, we didn't give anything away besides the last 50 minutes, which was a disaster. And that's where the blame game comes from. You can point to Vlahovic because he should have scored that goal 100%. On the day that, we lost points against Napoli as well, but against Cagliari because of individual mistakes from Vlahovic, from Douglas Luiz, and even Motta, because at the end, the presser, Motta kind of alluded to, I probably should have made the Yildiz sub even earlier. I probably should have. However, those were blames in the moment. That's it. That's not individual blame. You cannot put that on the things we struggle with. And we struggle with breaking down teams, which wasn't really the case against Cagliari. What we do struggle as well is lately is kind of putting away chances if we get them against these type of teams. Early on in the season, we were very clinical. On Sunday, for example, we were not clinical. That game, if you look at the stats and you ask a blind reveal score to anyone who watches football in general, and they see, man, you play Cagliari at home with those stats, they will come out and they will say, oof, that's a 3-0 game, you know. And the reality is it's 1-1. It's 1-1 because of individual mistakes on that day, you know. That context does matter. You know, there's still a lot of things to be positive about. There's still a lot of things to work on. I think nobody, especially me, expected. In May, let's say we got Thiago Motta. Nobody was like, oh, we're gonna win the league this season. When we got the players, some were like, okay, who knows? We could. However, if you're realistic, you know, we change a lot. Like, we changed everything. We changed that midfield. Okay, McKennie came back. We changed that front line, you know, the way we play. We changed that back line. We changed the system. Everything changed. It's a lot. It's needed. It was needed. You know, let's not kid ourselves. It was needed. But there's no way you're going to change so much at once and it's all going to gel. Because you can see it's not all gelling. It's not. It doesn't click. We know that, you know. We move the ball very well. We keep the ball very well. We look solid. All those things are well. But you know something is missing. And that's okay. That's something you can call out. But you cannot dramatize it. You cannot go overboard at this moment in time. Now we have a tough stretch of games. You know, we have Inter and Stuttgart and Lazio and Torino and is it Aston Villa? I'm not even sure. Like, we have tough games coming up. Really tough games. Now is a time when we will learn more about this team, which I think still needs more time. However, in these type of games, you're not getting time. You need to adapt or you're just going to sink. That's what's going to happen. And yes, we have Conceição out against Lazio and maybe Koopmeiners is not 100% fit. Who knows? You know, and Gonzalez is out and Bremer is injured for the season. But this is it. This is football. We play every single 2 days. We look tired against Cagliari towards the end. But these players are going to need to deal with it. Because we're going to play even more games. 2 more this season in the Champions League. Every 3 days, basically. It's going to happen. The only saving grace, and actually it's still horrible, is that there is an international break. So we have some time to rest some players and so on and so on. Other than that, we can put blame. Douglas Luiz, his start to the Juve's career is shocking. That's what it is. It's just shocking. Is he a shocking player? No. That's why I have patience. I don't like to go overboard and say it's already a flop, so on, so on. I can't. You know, it's the first week of October. I need to chill because I've seen Douglas Luiz play. He's a good player, but right now he looks like a next-gen player you just dropped in that team out of nowhere at a pressure cooker game. And even then, you know, I've seen next-gen players come in out of the blue and do better. He looks horrible. He has no confidence. That's on him. That's on Motta to fix. We cannot do anything about that. That's these two. They need to figure it out. But it's not because of Douglas Luiz that we have issues that we still need to resolve. That's on Motta right now to find solutions. And we can talk as well about we didn't have a number 9 to replace Vlahovic. It's not healthy. It's not okay to play Vlahovic week in, week out. I agree. But Milik didn't want to move on. And on top of that, Milik is injured. That's just a reality. And we need to deal with it. That's what it is. These stretch of games are going to be massive. Obviously, for our season. But also for this group to learn. It's no panic mode. It's 3 points off the top. And I don't think Napoli and Inter will drop points at home against this type of Cagliari side. However, they might drop points against a Monza at home or whoever just on the day. Just because, why? That happens throughout the season. It happens. I think what we are fixating on is like the way it happened is extremely frustrating. But I agree with people saying it's different than the Roma and the Empoli game because we did create chances in those games. We didn't do in the previous games. So there is an improvement. It was just on the day we didn't take our chances, like real chances, not chances we talked about previous where it was just and we messed up at the end. Like we completely capitulated towards the end, and these players are going to need that. They're going to need to learn from it because it cannot happen again. If it happens again and again, then we can talk, okay, we have an issue right now because these players are not learning. It's in their heads right now. They lose their heads. But we can because I've watched previous week, a couple of days before that game, we all came on and we praised that team for being a real team to go for it, sticking together, so on, so on. That doesn't change overnight. For me, it's okay. It needs to be consistent. You need to find a balance, and that's something Motta and the players will need to learn. That's it. That's as simple as that. You know, if we go into the stretch of games until the international break, it's I think it's a second week of November, and I think we have 7 games up to that next international break or something. And if we come out of that game with 2 wins and 3 losses and 2 draws, we can come out and we say, oof, that's a rough patch. That's not looking good, man. We need to fix up because this feels like it's falling apart. But right now, in my opinion, it's obviously not happening, and there's no signs that it's gonna fall apart like to that extreme level right now. I can be wrong, and I can come on in the next international break. I'm like, wow, we completely collapsed. But the signs of this team completely collapsing are not there. Those signs were there in previous seasons. That's why I think we all just need to calm down a little bit, talk about the issues or talk about things we obviously need to improve on, but still, you know, put everything into perspective and say the season, it's still a very good start to the season considering where we're coming from. That's what I'm saying. But again, we can blame players. I do that at time to time. However, it should be, okay, it's on the game. It's not on the season right now. It's too early to do these type of things. But let me know in the comments what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you guys very soon. Ciao.